Good morning. I have a stressed out producer because we're like probably 45 seconds past 10 o'clock. Good morning. It is April 11th, 2018, and you're back on with Java with Jerry. It's Wednesday. Of course, you're having Java with Jerry. And we have a special guest today you're going to enjoy. It's Eric Early, who is the leading Republican candidate for Attorney General. We'll be talking a lot about Eric's law practice, about his career in the law, and a little bit about his campaign, to be sure, and a lot about public policy, which I think you'll find interesting. So it'll be a good show. As always, we'll open with a little bit of my commentary on the news and sports, and then we'll have Eric's interview. And then our feature today is going to be Dumb Criminal. I did that special. I know I did it last week, and I'm repeating two features in a row. I usually don't do that, but I'm doing it because we've got Eric on the show. So I thought if a guy's going to be Attorney General, he ought to hear about the dumb criminal. So we'll do a little bit about that. Of course, as always, we're coming to you from the penthouse suite of Stadium Center in the Platinum Triangle here in Orange County. We hope you tune in every Wednesday and catch it live if you can at 10 o'clock. If you can't, of course, you go to orangesliced.com, and at Orange Slice, you can always download the app, and you can get it on Podbean as an audio file if you want to listen to it in the gym or while you're walking your dog, or you can catch past episodes, and a lot of them are there. So lots of ways to enjoy Java with Jerry, and we want to make sure that you continue to watch and that you do in fact enjoy it. So let's talk a little bit about what is happening today, and then we'll bring in our guests. So today's national news: Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, was on Capitol Hill yesterday, was being grilled by the Senate. Today he gets the joy of being grilled by the Congress. I was going to give him some advice before he went, but he had already taken it. So he had lost the hoodie and the t-shirt and actually put on a Brooks Brothers and was presentable for his grilling, which is important to make sure you dress for the occasion. He had some tough time with some of the questions about the privacy. 87 million people hacked by Cambridge Analytica, and he's got some issues because he's the new media, but he's up on the Hill anyway, so congratulations to you, Mrs. Zuckerberg. You made the big time in media when you get grilled on the Hill. State news, what's going on? We're mega short of housing, as you know, in the state. We're always talking about the need for housing. And I read an interesting piece by Jonathan Lasner in the Register, go find it, where he talks about a survey that was conducted for a big powwow, in preparation for a big powwow at Chapman University not too long ago, where they were talking about housing and homelessness and a number of other things. And the interesting thing out of it, it was interesting to him, it was to me when I read it, and I find it kind of astonishing, really, is that a whopping 79% of renters, who are the people most affected, right? If you can't have affordable housing, you're sort of stuck in that rental mode. 79% of them said they don't want a building boom. They don't want to see us building a lot more houses. They don't want the congestion. It impacts their lifestyle. I guess they're much more ready to move out into the hinterlands than to live in a really dense urban area. So take that, all you master planners that want to dense us up around train stations. Your customers don't want to live there. So I've been right all along. Gotta love that urban sprawl. So that's the state news. Local news: one of my favorite cities, my neighboring city in Orange, celebrated its 130th birthday. And one of the ways they did it, that's right, 130 years. They were formed April 6th in 1888. But one of the ways they did it was to clip a ribbon on a newly refurbished Yorba Park, which includes a newly refurbished and expanded dog park. So they were taking care of their canine citizens, and you all know how I feel about dogs. So congratulations, Orange, for celebrating your 130th birthday and including our pups. Well done, my friends, and happy birthday to the city of Orange. All right, sports. I know we're in the vast wasteland, so I thought I would talk about it. This is a sort of dead time in sports between here and preseason football. All my baseball fans are going to be sending me hate mail, but it's true. Look, I'll tell you why. You settle into your seat with a hot dog and a beer, and later on you're going to buy peanuts and Cracker Jack, just like the song says, because the best part of baseball is the food. And then you start to watch the game, and he looks in for a sign, he shakes it off. Then he gets another sign, he finally decides he'll take that one. Stands back up on the rubber, looks to first base, throws the ball because there's a runner there. Looks back in for a sign again. About the time he's ready to pitch, what happens? The batter steps out of the box, knocks the dirt off his cleats with his baseball bat. It's the slowest game known to man. It's frustrating. I know I will hear from everybody, including Daryl Johnson, about that. But that said, I am an Angel fan. After all, we are directly across the street from the stadium. And how about Showtime Ohtani, huh? I mean, this guy has pitched 13 innings, has 18 strikeouts, has already hit 3 home runs, which is pretty impressive. It's impressive to the people that know baseball, so I'll be impressed by it as well. So go Angels. He's doing a good job. And that's it for the Java news for this Wednesday, and time for us to bring Eric in. So I'm going to invite him in. Eric Early, come on set. welcome aboard.
Thanks, Jerry.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to have coffee with you.
I'm glad you're enjoying it with me. So we're going to have Eric settle in for a second, and while he's getting comfortable, let me tell you a little bit about him from his resume. His resume is pages long, but I picked out a few things that I thought were important. He is, as I said, the leading Republican candidate for Attorney General. We're glad to have him on board. He's the first politician, by the way, in all the episodes that we've had on air. So he's breaking the ice for all you politicians. Before he entered law school and became a lawyer, he attended New York University's undergraduate film school, and he had a career for a while in the entertainment industry, including producing commercials, directing short children's films, and working in post-production and a number of animated features as well. Then went on to law school and earned his degree from the most prestigious law school in America, Southwestern. We'll talk a little bit about that. And went on to found his own firm, Early & Sullivan, a boutique law firm that specializes in commercial litigation and real estate law and entertainment, and has in fact been recognized as the Boutique Firm of the Year by the California Daily Journal, read by all lawyers everywhere.
And the U.S. News and World Report, by the way.
And by U.S. News and World Report. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And he's a son of immigrants. We'll ask him a little bit about that because we're going to talk a little bit about immigration. Welcome to Java with Jerry. Glad to have you here.
Great to be here, Jerry.
I'm glad you could take a break. I know what it's like to be a candidate, so I'm glad you could take a break from what you have to do 100 miles an hour all day long to come join us.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm actually not a politician. I am now, but until October, I'd never been a politician in my life.
You are now, my friend.
I am, and it's a fascinating experience. But
it is.
I'm the only candidate in my race that's never lived off the taxpayers.
Yeah.
I've got a real job.
Yeah. You won't be living off the taxpayers if you get the job either. You're going to be taking a cut and pay. I hope your wife knows.
Oh, huge cut and pay.
So let's talk a little bit about your practice, because I think it's important if people are going to hire you as a lawyer to know what you've done, Eric. So tell us a little bit about the law and what you've done in it and what your firm does.
Well, you know, I started as a lawyer 25 years ago doing business litigation with one of the very well-known firms in Century City, California, practicing big and complex lawsuits all over the United States.
Yeah.
Business-to-business battles, real estate litigation, partnership litigation, corporate litigation, defending a lot of fraud cases, breach of contract cases, entertainment litigation. And then 8 years ago, myself and 4 of my colleagues broke away from that firm. We started Early Sullivan, Wright, Geiser, and McRae. We've been very blessed ever since we opened our doors. We started with the 5 of us and 2 other lawyers. We're up to 25 lawyers.
Wow,
I've been the managing partner since day one. I run the firm and got a lot of great lawyers work for us. We still do business litigation. We practice all over California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Florida. We represent big companies, small companies, lots of individuals we represent who are threatened by these groups of fraudsters who actually try to steal your home. It's unbelievable what goes on out there, and we defend these people, keep them in their homes, and so it's very gratifying, and I really love what I do, so I don't need this political stuff, but I felt I had to do it.
So that begs my next question. I mean, you and I practiced the same kind of law when I was a practicing lawyer for 30 years, and business litigation, especially the complex stuff, is really fascinating. It's daily interesting what you're dealing with. Yeah. You get to help people and change their lives. So what compels you to run for Attorney General and jump out of a great practice with good clients and go do this?
Well, I just watch where our state is going. And I just cannot stand what is happening in Sacramento, what's coming out of there. And then I looked at the present Attorney General and the one before him, and I just know I can do a better job than them. Javier Becerra, who's the present Attorney General, real lawyers like me don't even consider him a real lawyer. He's got a law degree. He came out many years ago. He did 2 years of something, and he went into politics. He never looked back. And the bills that and the positions he's taking are outrageous. So I was waiting for the right person to step up. The right person didn't step up. I stepped up. I put this very professional group of political sort of the support team behind me, and we have the best team in this race, and we have a great chance to win it. But we need a common sense Republican voice in Sacramento. We have to keep what's going on up there in check because it is out of control.
So let's talk a little bit about, I want to get to your campaign, talk a little bit about the political team you put around you and where your race is, but first I want to talk a little bit about policy, because that's obviously what compelled you to run, Eric. So what do you hope to achieve if you become AG? What are the kinds of things you want to change?
Well, in no particular order, this sanctuary state madness has to stop. In fact, when I woke up last year, like the rest of our fellow citizens, and heard that we were now going to become a sanctuary state, it really infuriated me, quite honestly. That's the last message we should be sending to the world, that if you could somehow slip across our borders undocumented, the state of California is going to take care of you from cradle to grave. And we should not be keeping our state and local law enforcement's hands tied and preventing them from working with federal law enforcement, ICE, to apprehend those folks who came here illegally and then have committed crimes, oftentimes violent crimes, oftentimes repeated crimes since they got here. That's what the sanctuary state law is protecting. I will do everything I can to get that state law repealed. And I have to tell you, I am just really blown away by all of the cities and counties and jurisdictions that are starting to either opt out or join the federal government's lawsuit against the sanctuary state law. It started with the people of Los Alamitos. I consider them brave pioneers. It's spreading like a prairie fire, starting in this part of California. Last night, I hear it was Newport Beach and the city of Orange.
Orange and Newport Beach, a city that we feted for their 130th birthday last night, did it instead of Newport Beach. It's an interesting. It's an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it, of jurisdictional power. You have, three different levels of government all pitched over the same issue, it seems. The federal government having its issues with the state of California, the state of California taking a wholly different position than the feds, the cities now pushing back against the state government and saying, you can't tell us what we're going to do in terms of what part of our oath we're going to respect. It's really set up a conflict.
Well, these are very interesting times, but this is what happens when you have one party in control for years and years and years in Sacramento. They start getting arrogant. They've been incredibly arrogant up there. This fellow Kevin DeLeon, the Democratic Senate Majority Leader, is the one that dropped this sanctuary state law on us, supported by his party. It was an arrogant law. It was an outrageous law. And you know what? The people have had enough. And so what we're witnessing, which is starting in Orange County and is going to spread around this state, is democracy in action. The people are standing up and they've said, no more. We don't have to take these unconstitutional laws that you're dropping on us. And that's why, for example, when Jeff Sessions sued the state on the sanctuary state issue, I came out immediately and supported it. And then you have this guy, Mr. Becerra, who I'm up against. This guy has had the temerity to threaten job creators if they, in his mind, violate the sanctuary state law, to threaten 2 weeks ago the Orange County Sheriff, Sandra Hutchins, with action for doing a great thing. And I came out immediately. I supported the sheriff, and I want to tell your listeners I'm incredibly honored because just the other day, Sheriff Hutchins endorsed my candidacy.
Oh, that's great.
This is brave, bold. She is a brave, bold, strong leader. This is exactly who we need more of in this state to replace what's going on in Sacramento.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple of other laws that you've called out. And I was doing some research on some of the stuff that you've stood up and said. And you've said that an AG should fight to protect Californians from violence. And particularly, you're concerned about making California into a criminal paradise. And you've called out Propositions 47 and 57 as examples of that. Eric, tell the listeners a little bit about what it is about those propositions that you're unhappy with and how they set up this setting in which criminals get a sort of paradise to live in.
The Democratic supermajority that has been in control in Sacramento for years and years, Mr. DeLeon, Mr. Becerra, all of their sort of cronies up there, have been creating a criminal's paradise in California. And it's got to stop. And the first and most important job of the Attorney General is to protect the law-abiding citizens of our state. Exactly the opposite of what Mr. Becerra is presently doing. Proposition 47 was sold to the voters, and the title on the proposition that we saw when we went to the polls was the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act.
Yeah.
And so we go to the polls, and most of us, myself included, we really just read about what this proposition is as we walk into the voting booth. And of course we want safe neighborhoods and schools, so we support it. So what did Proposition 47 actually do? It now allows criminals to steal up to $950 on each occurrence and not get convicted.
Yeah, it lowered the standard for what a crime was.
So these folks, these criminals, are laughing at the store owners whose property they steal. They're laughing at the homeowners whose property they destroy and steal. They're laughing at law enforcement because they know there's nothing that can be done. And mind you, this was done by a proposition that said it was going to be the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. Yeah. It's caused a rise in crime. And just so your listeners know, Jerry, it's the Attorney General's office that drafts that ballot and title summary that called it the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. They lied to the people. And that is the last thing the Attorney General, the state of California, should be doing, is lying to the people. On Proposition 57, similar thing, sold to us by the Democratic power structure up there. It was it also had safety in the bill. And what is that doing? That's allowing violent felons to be released from prison long before their sentences expire. Has again led to a rise in crime. And just about a month and a half ago, a state court judge up north interpreted Proposition 57 to allow for the early parole of violent sexual predators. And it's estimated that there are 10,000 of them in our prisons. These are the propositions that this one-party regime has sold to the people. We got to do whatever we can to repeal and replace them. There's a move afoot by the Assistant District Attorneys Association, which I fully support, to do just that.
Yeah, there is, and it's an important issue. Let's talk a little bit about sort of the trifecta of what's out on the streets, and we're seeing it in all of our communities.
Yeah.
It's this homelessness, drug addiction, and mental illness all sort of camped out, and ironically, it is impacted by what you just talked about, Eric, because you've always had people who are suffering from mental illness and that were chronically homeless or that had addiction issues, but now you have them out on the street mixed with a population of all these early releasees, and those criminals are preying on them. You've talked a lot about mental health and what you want to do about it in California. Tell the listeners what your ideas are.
Listen, these are three issues that I very much care about. Severe mental illness, this homelessness epidemic. I'm sure most of your listeners can see what I've seen driving the streets. You see
it in your neighborhoods.
You see tent cities out there.
Yeah.
It's becoming like Afghanistan with these people on the street and this prescription drug epidemic. And I believe they're all related. Severe mental illness has to be, we need to do a deep dive. Politicians have been talking about this, not doing anything. Mr. Becerra doesn't even talk about it, much less not doing anything. I want to get together an advisory council when I'm Attorney General of the best and brightest in the mental health field, the law enforcement field, so we can brainstorm. I want to search the world for success stories with dealing with the severely mentally ill, because right now, a lot of people know severely mentally ill people out there. There's nothing you can do with these people. They're getting dosed by these psychotropic drugs. The best you can get, if you're lucky, is what's called a 5150, which is a 72-hour hold. We need to look seriously at success stories from around the world, find them, and start figuring out a way to implement them here. And it might require the involuntary commitment to mental health facilities that we're going to have to build that are staffed with mental health specialists to put these people in for as long a time as necessary, because we need it for all our safety, and that will have that will certainly impact the homelessness population, and we just need it.
I've heard a lot of people who are very active in homelessness say the same things that you're saying, that we made a tragic mistake when we stopped having institutions available for mental health treatment, and we didn't have professionals there to be able to interdict these folks and get them the care they need. And instead we've turned to drugs, and we've said, well, we'll just drug them up and let the drug be their behavioral catalyst, and it hasn't worked. And so I think you're right. There's a point at which we have to re-examine that, and maybe it should be the Attorney General who asked for that, because it's impacting crime.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jerry, can anybody doubt that kid that opened fire in Connecticut, that kid that opened fire in Florida, this maniac that opened fire in Nevada, on and on and on, they're all severely mentally ill, and all of their families knew they had a time bomb on their hand. There was nothing they can do with them. We need to protect our kids in their schools. When my kids were younger, I used to drop them off at school. I never had to worry about somebody
Whether they were
opening
coming
fire
home.
there.
Right, yeah.
Parents have to worry about these things. We need to protect our kids. We need to protect our families. The severely mentally ill, we need to do a deep dive. It's a major issue for me, and you have to start with an attorney general that cares about the subject. Our present attorney general, by all his actions, we see he doesn't care about mental illness.
Well, he's not talking about it.
All he cares about is suing the Trump administration and getting reelected. That's what our present Attorney General, Mr. Becerra, has done. I mean, listen, the fellow's been in office. He wasn't elected, mind you. He was appointed by Jerry Brown to replace Kamala Harris. He's been in office a drop over a year. And in that short period of time, he sued the Trump administration. We've lost count, somewhere between 25 and 30 different times.
Is that right? That many
yes. Okay. You just need to know the numbers and the short amount of time he's been in office to realize that this man is just singularly obsessed with Donald Trump. I think he goes to bed thinking about Trump. I think he wakes up in the morning thinking about Trump. I think when he has coffee, thankfully not on your show, he's thinking about him. This guy is like having Nancy Pelosi in our Attorney General's office. How we ever ended up with this situation, I don't know, but we need a common sense Republican, me, to be up there to start keeping things in check up there, this madness in check. And I would ask your listeners and your viewers, June 5th is a major election day. It's the primary. As many or most of you know, we have a top two system in California, which I don't personally support, but that's the law right now. So the top two of any party win, and we have to make sure that we have a common sense Republican, me, on the ballot in November. So I would ask for everybody's vote on June 5th, and please tell your friends and yourselves. All parties can vote for me. Please plan to go to the polls on June 5th. I'm doing this race for people of all races, creeds, colors, sexual orientation. If you're a law-abiding citizen of California, you'll have no better friend in the Attorney General's office than me. And one other thing I want to point out, I speak, for example, to Hispanic Americans all over the state, because I'm going all over the state. Great people, hardworking, God-fearing, love their families. Many of them are veterans. They're the first ones to tell me that they can't stand this illegal immigration that we're dealing with. So I'm reaching out to everybody. This is a big tent that I'm reaching out to. I'm a Republican, but I'm a common sense Republican. And I really could use your support.
Let's talk about the state of your race, because I said we'd talk a little bit about the politics, and since you've made a pitch, and I'm running short on time, Julie's showing me, hurry up. I want to make sure we get this in. So where's your race? Where does it stand? What are the things you're doing these days? Who's your team?
Well, listen, the race is actually going great. There's four of us in this race. There's one other Republican who's a good deal further to the right than me, and he's going through his own issues right now, shall we say. And then on the other side, we have Becerra, who is Nancy Pelosi, and then we have a fellow named Dave Jones, who is from the alt-left fringe of the party. I'm the only person in the center in this race, and the great thing is, and Jones and Becerra now starting to go after each other. So this race is shaping up really well, and for somebody who's never been in politics before, I'm in a great position, and I'm just very blessed to be in this position. And the team I have behind me, Andy Garicani, who's got magic running through his veins, runs my campaign. Andy is one of the people that runs the LA County Republican Party. He also helped start the New Majority in California, which is the largest Republican PAC in California. Andy is very respected. Dwayne DeCara, my campaign consultant, another very well-respected person in the Republican Party. Matthew Cunningham, who handles my PR. We have a great team behind us, and so for somebody like me who's never been in politics before, it's great to be surrounded by people who actually understand how this stuff works.
Yeah, you drew a top-notch blue ribbon team, so that's for a newbie, that's an interesting thing to achieve. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Is there something we didn't talk about you want to make sure the voters know besides showing up on June 5th and voting for Eric Early?
Well, two things. I'm also a dad. I'm doing this not only for our generation and the folks older than us, but I'm doing it for my kids' generation, for the future of California. Okay, we need to get our hands back in control and starting to do the massive lift to overturn all of this damage that we've been dealing with for years, please go to www.ericearly.com, ERICEARLY.com. One thing you learn in politics is that this is really a money game. I could use all donations of any size. I really love it when I get donations from people out there. It's very gratifying to me, and it shows the support that we're building around the state. But I will tell all your listeners, the best days of our great state are ahead of us.
Great. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me,
Appreciate
Jerry.
having you here, our first politician on Java with Jerry. You did a good job, team, early, because you've got him making sure he pitched the election and pitched for money. So I know you guys have trained him well.
I'm learning.
We're glad
I'm a
to
good
have
study.
you. Thanks. All right, well, don't go anywhere, because now you get to be part of the feature, and I picked Dumb Criminal just for you because you're going to run to be AG, top cop, so we have to have the top cop there, the Dumb Criminal story. So your Dumb Criminal story for this episode comes to you special from London, and I know we've got at least a couple of watchers there. My friends Steve and Pam Gooderham watch from London, so this is for you, Steve and Pam, your own very dumb criminal. All right, here's our story for today. It seems that Umar Mirza thought he would get away with the perfect crime. Having been rejected for a job at the local gambling parlor, he showed up with a fake gun and a note and decided he would hold it up. The fake gun and note got him $22,000. However, as Mirza was leaving the gambling parlor, he took off his mask and the closed-circuit TV cameras got a great look at his face. From there, the police had no problems tracking him down because, you see, the betting parlor still had Mirza's resume and he had put his picture on it. So there you go, applicants, when you're putting your picture on your resume.
That's a genius.
Way to go, Mr. Mirza. You're the dumb criminal of the week. And we got tons of you in California as well, so we're not just picking on London. So you'll have your hands full if you get in. All right, remember to send us your dumb criminal stories. I know you have them and we're looking for them. And the more of them that you send in, the more you're in the competition to win your own Java with Jerry mug. We want to thank Eric again. Can you say one thing? Sure, you can say. Just slip me a note. Trial lawyers always slip each other notes.
One other thing. I've been endorsed by other great people as well. Steve Cooley, the former district attorney of the County of Los Angeles, came this close to beating Kamala Harris. He's a great guy, would have changed the history of our state for the better. Darrell Issa, Mimi Walters, State Senate Republican leader Pat Bates, even President Reagan's former Secretary of State, George Shultz. There have been many others. I've been very blessed in this campaign and very honored. And I'm very honored to be on Jerry's show today.
Well, thanks. We're glad to have you.
And the coffee's very good, by the way.
Go to his website. Yeah, the coffee is good. I'm not responsible for that. That's our production staff. All right, a little bit about next week's show. Don't forget to tune in every Wednesday. Next week's guest will be Jim Palmer, the CEO of the Orange County Rescue Mission, a former Tustin councilman with whom I served when I was on council. He served in a number of public service capacities after his years on council, and is one of the experts, I think, throughout the nation on the scourges of homelessness and mental addiction, all the things that we were talking about today that are contributing to the quality of life in our communities. So show up next Wednesday. Until then, have a great week, make good decisions, and we'll see you next Wednesday on Java with Jerry.